family, Attorney Wright, and myself from all over America, let's not celebrate this indictment as if it was a conviction. Reverend Al called, said, that's good, we got the indictment, but remember what I said at the funeral of Andre Hill. No excuses. No excuses. It's a conviction. Because if the roles were reversed, we know that if Alvin would have did what Officer Gordon did on that video, he would be convicted.
That's right.
He would have been in jail already.
No question. Yeah, he would have been in jail already. But Carissa, he's in jail now. The person who killed your father.
Amen.
And that's a big step forward for the history of Ohio. So we don't take these things for granted. We don't take these things for granted at all. And the fact that they charged him with those charges, sometimes they have a tendency, Shauna, to simply say, oh, we're going to charge him with one thing, and if the jury doesn't come back and convict on that one thing, then it's allowed for him to evade justice. And we know all too often, Attorney Wright and I, because we've been doing this for a while, Attorney Schulte, that when people from our community get charged, they get charged with the whole kitchen sink. I mean, from the top to the bottom. So if the jury don't do the thing on the top, they do the second degree or third degree or manslaughter. They would come up with something to convict people in our community on when they commit a illegal, immoral act. So we don't want anything different. That's right. In the case of Ohio versus Adam Coy. We want it to be the same fervor that they prosecute people from our community. That's right. To do it here. And I will say before Attorney Wright address you, I was particularly pleased with the grand jury charge and failure to render aid, because we presented to you those videos after our office got them, and we condensed them to be able to give ocular proof that after Coy had shot Andre Hill unjustifiably, never gave verbal commands, never said anything, just shot him. After 5 minutes and 11 seconds, they then put him in handcuffs. I mean, a man is on the ground dying, lifeless, and you put him in handcuffs. And then for almost 15 minutes to pass, and you don't render any aid to a dying man who's laying on the ground unconscious. You don't try to offer him any humanity. I mean, these are the first responders, the people who are supposed to be taught to preserve life. Did it look like they was trying to preserve Andre Hill's life? I mean, you put him in handcuffs after you shot him, and still to this day, nobody can tell Carissa, his only daughter, what was her father's crime. What was Andre Hill's crime? I pray that the prosecutor make that a point when they prosecuting this case. You talking about dereliction of duty, to put a man who was holding a cell phone in handcuffs. Was it because of skin color? What was his crime? That's a question that America is asking. And all these killings of these unarmed black people. What was our crime? And so we are relieved, Columbus. We're relieved but we are not satisfied. We are not satisfied. Right now, you'll hear from my great co-counsel, a great lawyer, a great person, Attorney Michael Wright, and then we'll hear from the family members.
Thank you, Attorney Krump. I'm just going to echo some of the things that Attorney Krump said. First, I want to thank the citizens of Franklin County for returning an indictment. That's big. We're very happy about that. Also, we'd like to thank the Attorney General David Yost and also the prosecutor Anthony Pearson for presenting in such a manner that there was an indictment returned, because that doesn't normally happen. So we're definitely happy that they presented the facts in such a manner that the grand jurors, the citizens, would be able to make a proper decision regarding, what took place that evening. I also would just like to say that this is just the first step. As Attorney Krump indicated, the family is cautiously optimistic, and this is just the first step. We want a conviction, and we want this officer to be incarcerated. We know that he was indicted on one count of murder, a count of felonious assault, and 2 counts of dereliction of duty. And we believe, based on what's in the video, that, the prosecutor's office can return convictions, and that we believe that a jury will convict Adam Coy for what occurred. Again, the family would like to thank everyone for all the prayers and support, but this is going to be a long journey. This is the first step, and we're hopeful that this will return a conviction and incarceration for this officer. And we'll answer questions a little later about the specific counts.
Thank you very much, Attorney Wright, and I know we'll answer all the questions today from the reporters. But before we do that, we want to have you hear from the family of Andre Hill, the people who knew him best. His big sister who, saw him come into this world and regrettably saw him leave this earth before her. Ms. Shauna Barnett is going to address you, and then we'll go forward. Ms. Shauna.
Yeah, thank you.
You want to take that?
Oh, can you hear me okay? Okay. So first, I also want to echo both attorneys here and thank the grand jury for seeing what we saw and coming to the same conclusion that we came to, which was murder, because they outright murdered my brother. So I appreciate all that they have done, and I trust that the process will continue forward, because we're happy. I mean, it made my day yesterday. I'm happy about it, but as we stated before, this is not the end. We're here for the long run, however long it takes. My brother, we owe him that. So we're here for the long run, and I don't want him to have died in vain. I mean, we've had one success this week with Andre's Law, which is very good. That could be modified as well, but we have the indictment, and we need to carry this further. So we don't want just be charged and let go, as has been the past cases that we've seen many times. We can't have it repeat. We don't want any excuses. We want Adam Coy convicted of all the charges. No partials. We want all the charges. We want him incarcerated. Secondly, I just want to thank everybody for all the support that you guys have given us, all the calls, all the emails, all the texts, because that helps us to keep going as well. Right. That helps us keep going as well. So keep them coming. And I need for everyone to keep that same energy that we've had thus far. And also I need the prosecutor to please keep that same energy. And the grand juror or the jury that we get, hopefully will keep that same energy that blacks get when we're incarcerated for crimes that we do. Keep that same energy going towards Adam Coy for what he did.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Shauna. And his sister Michelle couldn't be with us today, but her family speaks for her as well. She lives in South Carolina. At this time, you're going to hear from the brother of Andre Hill, a person who spent a lot of time with his brother, often gets emotional talking about this tragedy, but he always speaks truth to power. Mr. Alvin Williams.
Good morning. I'm going to echo a lot of things myself. One of the main things is that I like to appreciate and say thank you to the open-minded, non-biased jury decisions, the people who caused this action to take place. I'd like to thank the prosecutor, Mr. Yost, for being a part of this and doing the right thing, the city councilman, and everybody else who's had hearts to understand and seen the devastation of this tragedy. I just hope at the end of the day that if you indict it with 4, you convict with 4 charges overall. Yes. I'm just wishing that a lot of people, everybody, black and white citizens, bring this tragedy home with you and understand how you would feel if it was your loved ones. It's not a black and white issue. This is a people issue.
That's good.
And it takes all of us to actually dissect the problems for where you work, downtown, prosecutor's office, police departments. There's always a discrepancy when it does come to black lives. I have experienced the most biased situations of charges that was ridiculous. Lies from the beginning. So if I'm a normal citizen, I hope that you treat a murdering police officer the same way when you have actual evidence that you can press a button and see it all yourself. There's nothing to be proven. So I just pray and hope, as all of us, as decent American people, that we will come together against any type of unjust actions, no matter who it is.
Good. Good.
And get this country and the city running like it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Because if it's a fair playing field, I'm sure you will get a better results and attitudes from black folks and white folks coming together, or any other nationality. Don't allow this person to get away with what he's done to keep on separating the people. And I also like to appreciate the good officers who did not deserve this. That has to go home every day, non-black officers and black officers, that has to go home and suffer and to be mentally tormented that I can't go and do my job and people respect me because they might feel that I'm like him.
That's good. That's good. Amen, sir.
If you indict it with 4, convict with 4, and that's the only thing to do.
Great. Amen.
Thank you, Alvin, for always speaking truth to power and always speaking up for your brother's life, as I'm sure he would have spoken up for you if this would have happened to you. And finally, you're going to hear from Andre Hill's legacy. His only daughter, Carissa Hill, who has 3 young children who lived in the house with her father. They called him Big Daddy. And they continued to ask her, when is Big Daddy coming home? But it was somewhat a fulfilling moment. I was on planes, as I often am, and I landed. Attorney Wright had a text, and then I saw I had missed calls from Carissa, and so when I called her back, she said, "We did it." She said, "We did it. He's indicted." And so I give her a lot of the credit, this family a lot of the credit, for making sure that they would not stop talking about Andre Hill, that Andre Hill life matters, that Black Lives Matter. So Carissa, this morning is for you and your children. Big Daddy is looking down from heaven and he's smiling, proud of you. Carissa Hill. Yeah, we can clap for her. Yeah.
All right.
Take your time.
Well, I just want to start by thanking Ben for helping me and my family for staying together and being so supportive and strong. I just feel like Adam McCoy messed with the wrong family, and his family is not backing down. We're not letting loose, and we are on it.
Amen.
And we are going to make sure that all 4 convictions happen. Like, that's what we want, and that's what we're shooting for. I wish we could have added a couple more charges, but I'm not going to get into that. So
that was your daddy.
Yesterday when Anthony called me, I was just so happy for the first time. It was my first time having a genuine smile. And I just want to thank you, Anthony, for giving me something to smile about and a start. I understand this is a long journey, but I just want to thank you for helping us start it. So I just want to make sure that everybody knows that, and the community for being behind us. I want to thank you guys as well, because we need you guys, and I'm glad that everybody stepped up and seen what we seen in this murder. And it's just hard, because this is what's supposed to happen when another person murders somebody. This is what's supposed to happen.
Yep.
The prosecutors are supposed to do this. This is what's supposed to happen. So I'm just glad that this is what's happening in Black History Month.
Yes.
On the 1st of Black History Month, my dad got a law in his name, and I'm just so grateful for that. And the 3rd day, 2 days later, the officer's getting arrested, and it's just like Black History Month is moving for me, and I just pray that it keeps on moving, you know?
History.
So
Making history.
I appreciate everybody. Thank you.
Yes.
Good job. Carissa, Alvin, Shauna, Michelle, your family is making history, not only for Andre, but for Ohio. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, we will take some questions.
Do you have concerns that this will be pleaded down to a lesser charge? Will you be satisfied if there's a conviction on some charge in incarceration, or does it have to be murder?
Well, the family wants him to be held to the full extent of the law. And so that's what they are expecting. You saw what happened on that video. That is prima facie evidence of these charges. He should be convicted on each and every one of them. I think what we want from the citizens, not only in Franklin County, but in America, we want full justice. That's what they hold their hand up and swear to when they're sworn in as jurors. And they swear to render a verdict to deliver justice, not half justice, right, but full justice. Right. And so why should Andre Hill have to get less than full justice? You know, we say that his life matters just like everybody else's. Would any family member be relieved if this happened to their loved one and they only got half justice. We want full justice.
Full justice.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's fine.
Mr. Wright, you talked, and Attorney Krump did this as well, you talked about the dereliction of duty charges being for not rendering aid. But when Attorney General Yost spoke yesterday, he said those charges were specifically related to the body camera not being turned on and Officer Coy not initiating an alert to his other officers. Can you speak to what you've been told about those charges? We haven't seen the indictment yet.
Right, that's correct. We have not seen the indictment either, but our understanding is that it is for both the not rendering of aid in addition to not fully using his body cam. So, but until we see the actual indictment, we won't know which count is for what specific action.
Coy's attorney, Mark Collins, mentioned a silver key ring that he mistook. Coy allegedly mistook for a silver revolver or something like that. Can you please react to those comments and that claim?
You know, I'll go first, Attorney Wright, and then certainly allow you to chime in. You know, the thing that we are fortunate for is that there was another police officer on the scene who had the same vantage points as well. She didn't feel threatened. She didn't feel that she had to use excessive force. She didn't feel she had to shoot this man because it was a 311 call. You get out with your gun pulled on a 311 call, not a 911 call. This was about a loud car. And so for them to now start trying to re-engineer what happened to fit their justification of this unjustified crime. And we do believe it was a crime because he used deadly force. He committed a felonious assault. So when you think about them now coming to try to say, don't believe your lying eyes, because that's essentially what they're saying. Don't believe your lying eyes. Just go with us that Andre Hill, death, while unfortunate, he didn't do anything wrong. He did do something wrong. He did what we in the black community often see. He shoot first, police shoot first and ask questions later when it comes to black people, and they don't do that with all the citizens in the community. Justice Sonia Sotomayor said in a ruling of Mulinex v. Luna that, you know, when the Supreme Court puts forth these justifications, these policies that we don't listen or believe objective evidence, we just allow the police to engage in this shoot first, think later policy, then it makes the Fourth Amendment hollow. The Fourth Amendment of the Constitution is there for a reason. It is to make sure that people like Andre Hill holding a cell phone are not shot and killed, and then his death is swept under the rug and the killer cop is allowed to go skate free. And we have all the people in the streets joining the family in outrage, declaring that Black Lives Matter, because we know when it's other people, I mean, there are young white men who are confirmed mass murderers, and they don't shoot first. So why is it when it's black people, you shoot first and ask questions later? And so I expounded on that question just because that has always been what we have seen happen in the past. You shoot and kill us in an inexplicable manner, and then you start trying to say, but, you know, 5 minutes before that, 10 minutes before that, 20 minutes before that. Well, what about when you shot? They say every time you pull the trigger, you have to justify each shot. I mean, he shot him multiple times. Mike.
Well, I guess another answer to your question is the defense attorney has to come up with something, right? So that is the excuse I guess they're going with. If that was the case, where was the verbal command from Coy? You know, we didn't hear, we didn't see any type of verbal command. Put your hands up. You know, show me your hands. He just shot, and he didn't have his body cam on. So that just goes to the bad mind that Coy was there to do wrong. He was not going to. He was not going to give Mr. Hill the benefit of the doubt. He was just going to shoot. And now his defense attorney has to come up with something. So I guess if that's what they have, we'll let the citizens of Franklin County decide whether or not that's justifiable.
Thank you. And specifically on the key, I mean, is the guy saying that he did have a key in his hand, or you have no information about that?
We have the video, and believe me, we have experts and heads in that video from every which way, from every vantage point. So that will come out when our experts get back to us. But I will say this before we go to the next question. We're not alleging it was premeditated, and that's important that the jury did not come back and say, the grand jury didn't come back and say we had to prove premeditation, because that's the little trap. That's the game they often play, where we don't have that here. Thank God. Next question. If there are any, if not, we thank you. All right. Thank you all very much. We'll keep you posted as we go on this journey for justice for Andre Hill. Thank you.
Thank you.